What's up guys, welcome back to McLaren Media, your home for everything cars, photography and videography. In today's video we're going to be changing the lower engine mount, so the gearbox mount on the Ford Fiesta. So guys, the tools you'll need for this install, and trust me when I say this is one of the easiest things I've ever done on a car. I honestly thought this would be harder than it was. You will simply need one 13mm spanner and one 3/8 ratchet with one 13mm deep reach socket, and that is all you need for this install. So let's jump in.
Here you can see how shaky and vibrating the engine is. However, I'm not sure changing them out will solve this, as these engines are like this normally. First step, jack up the car and then secure on axle stands. This is the lower engine mount. It is located at the back of the engine by the bell housing, underneath the half shaft. As you can see, when mine attaches to the subframe, there are huge cracks in the rubber. And as for the front, well, I do believe there is no rubber left, as the engine slop is beyond normal. Take the 13mm spanner and undo the rear bolt, then undo the front bolt, and then undo the front top bolt. Then use the deep 13mm socket on the other top bolt. Remove all the bolts one by one and be careful it doesn't fall on your head. Here are the engine mounts side by side, and as you can clearly see, the engine mount is original and well past its sell by date. Start by locating the new one in its correct orientation, then insert the rear main bolt, then simply reinsert all the other bolts and tighten them down and torque to spec.
So you might be asking what difference changing that engine mount has actually done. Well, I'm sure you can see by the video of just how bad that original engine mount was. There's so much play in it. So with this new one, things I've already noticed, it's not any smoother on the idle, but it does feel more stronger, if you know what I mean. Like you can feel the ignition sort of comes on a bit more solid. It's not sort of like shaking the engine around as such. And then other things I've noticed, the gear changing feels a little bit more smoother. The operation is the transition between the gears. Clutch release much smoother. Braking seems to be a little bit sort of less juddery on the pedal as well. The whole car seems to be a lot quieter as well. I've had quite a lot of knocks and bangs in this car, and I always thought it was coming from the rear suspension, but it turns out it's probably that engine mount, because every time I go over a bump now, like we are just now, there's no plonks. So I'm going to assume it was the engine mount that was making that noise. In terms of power delivery, the pedal feels a lot more solid, a lot more pronounced. Like when you're actually pressing it, it's actually doing something. But apart from that, it's not been a bad 30 quid spend really. The whole car feels really solid, a lot nicer to drive, I thought. I'm just going to put my foot down a little bit here. Yeah, it's just the power delivery comes on a little bit smoother, a little bit more, you know, like I expect a torquey diesel engine to come on a little bit more. So when the turbo, I know it's quite old, when the turbo spools, you get a bit more of a kick, but it's definitely in them gear changes I'm feeling a little bit more smoothness. Definitely in the clutch release. Yeah, no, the whole car feels a lot more tighter. So if your engine mount looks like mine did, I would definitely recommend changing it out, because that has made a world of difference. No clonk when I'm setting off from the line. Yeah, just completely transformed it. The ride of a Rolls Royce now, this thing, I mean, that can't be bad. So there we go guys, that is installing the lower engine mount or gearbox mount, whatever you want to call it, on the Ford Fiesta. One of the simplest things I've ever done. I honestly thought that'd be harder than it was. It's simply 4 bolts, you undo them, you take the old mount out, you put the new one back in, you sort of slosh the engine around a little bit just to line it all up and put the bolts back in, and that is it. In terms of drivability, like I've just said, that made a huge improvement. If yours was as bad as mine was, I don't know where I put my old one, but basically you could literally twist the mounting point inside the bracket. It was literally doing nothing. And you can imagine as we were going over bumps and the engine was shaking and vibrating, that was just sort of clonking metal on metal. That's probably where a lot of my noises come from on the front, and probably transferred around the entire car, because that is quite a shaky engine on that. So that's because the gearbox mount and the engine mount on the left and right are also gone bad, but basically the rear bottom one was definitely beyond its sell by date. So I would definitely recommend doing that if yours looked like mine, because my god, did that make an instant difference in the way the car felt. It just felt more tighter. The engine felt a little bit more seated in the engine bay. The pedals were a little bit more firmer. You know, as you were power delivering, you know, the turbo was sort of coming on, you could feel it wanting to boost a bit harder. Not a lot, it's not going to give you like 100 horsepower, but it probably regained sort of a couple here and there. But overall, well worth the 30 quid I just spent on that engine mount, and it was only from eBay. So, I mean, if it lasts you a couple of years, and what's that really? I mean, but overall, that's installing the lower engine mount. But always, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please don't forget, like the video if you liked it. Please don't forget to subscribe, because we're over 230 subscribers now. We're well on our way to hitting that magic 1,000 number. Please don't forget to check out my pick fair shop if you want to buy some of my photography stuff. Just help support the channel. My Redbubble shop, hopefully I'm going to be sort of showing off some of my Redbubble stuff on the channel, like some of my t-shirts and my stickers, so you can see what they look like, because all the designs are handmade by me on Photoshop and that. So when you buy them, it just sort of like really shows me that you like the content I've made and that you really enjoy this whole channel, and it helps support me. And as I always say, guys, I really want you to have a go at doing this yourself, because learn by doing, and you get such a sense of achievement by doing it. But as always, guys, I will see you in my next video. Cheers.